vabim na oder Natalijo Wiechowski, strateginjo na področju osebnega znamčenja, večkrat nagrajeno strokovnjakinjo na tem področju in ena stvar, ki jo ne bi uganili iz njene biografije, pa je, da se je Natalija včasih profesionalno ukvarjala z športom, konkretneje s plesom. Natalia, I told about your one thing we would never guess from your bio. Now the floor is yours.
Thank you.
And the presenter.
Yes, that would be wonderful. Thank you so much. Yes. I can see my presentation up there. There you go. So when the conference organizer of this event initially approached me and said, Natalia, can you please deliver an uplifting and motivational speech about personal branding? I smirked. Because the reactions when it comes to personal branding are quite diverse. But generally, you can put people into 3 different groups. So the first group of people, they absolutely love personal branding. They are obsessed with it. And their reactions can be summed up as following. Like that, or like that. So then there's the second group of people, people who really dislike the concept, like the grumpy cat, or people who disagree in total. They say things like, branding is just something for stuff, for services. Why do you need to brand people? And what kind of world do we live in? And then there is group number 3, people who are still confused or still do not understand personal branding. And that's totally fine. I am not here to judge anybody. I'm here to give my best, to share a few thoughts with you around personal branding that will hopefully inspire you to work on your personal brand. Because I do believe that personal branding is a very, very powerful tool. So if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to approach me after my talk. I heard that the Slovenian audience is rather shy, so there will be no frequently asked questions on stage. But if you have any questions later on, I will be around for the after party as well. So please ask me. So what have I prepared for today? You know, I'm German, we love to structure things, so there you go. That's what I'm going to do. I'll start with what is personal branding and what it is not. In the first part, I would like to eliminate wrong beliefs and misperceptions. After that, I'm going to talk about the benefits of personal branding for employees, but also for companies. And by the way, PB stands for personal branding, not for peanut butter or personal best. And after that, I'm going to share 2 case studies with you on how you can actually implement personal branding into a one-man or one-woman show and into a corporate company. Does that sound good? Yes, everybody's sleeping. What's that? Once again, does that sound good? Ah, so much better. I love this. Give yourself a round of applause. Wonderful. So, what is personal branding? When you use the word branding or personal branding, when you type it into Google, you will very likely find a quote from Jeff Bezos, who is the founder of Amazon. So he supposedly once said, your brand is what other people say about you when you're not in the room. And I think about that. And I think that it's a fantastic quote, but many people I know, they wrongly deduct from it that branding or personal branding is just a fancier word for reputation, which is not the case. It is so much more. So personal branding is sometimes also called impression management. Some other people that I know, they speak about a life insurance that you create for yourself. How dramatic. While other people, they speak about a mark that you create for yourself. For me, nothing of that helped. In the beginning, I didn't understand it. So I thought, if there are 4 areas in personal branding in which you could improve, how would they look like? So there you go. This is what I have created. I think you can work on your personal brand on the inside, on the outside, online and offline. So that looks very complex, so let's cut this kind of cake into 4 different areas, and let's have a look at those pieces bit by bit. So, on the inside, we have things like your values, your mission, your UVP, and your passions. So as you can see, personal branding actually starts with a self-inventory. Who am I? What do I want to achieve? What are my targets? What am I good at? What is my unique value proposition? So if you realize that thinking about these things is quite challenging and that you're not moving forward, then maybe investing in a handful of sessions with a life coach or with a career coach could be a good thing. Don't judge yourself for that. It actually is value-adding. You could see these people as a sort of catalyst who could get you to the next level. And some of these things might change over time as you change over time. It shows that you're growing, which is wonderful. Then we have the outside category. On the outside, we have things like your outer appearance, your storytelling, presentation skills, and your trademark. If you say standing in front of people and talking is horrible, then join an association like Toastmasters International. They are the world's leading non-profit organization when it comes to public speaking. They have clubs all over the world, and they will help you becoming a better communicator and leader. Working with a stylist or a color consultant can be fun, and a graphic designer could round things up in the shape of a branding guideline or cord. So to be very honest, I didn't fall from heaven like this. I didn't know how to speak in full sentences without blushing or without saying or walking up the stage all the time 3 years ago. I didn't know how to move, but I learned it. I also didn't know what to wear accordingly to my body type, but I have hired a consultant. He taught me what to do, or she taught me what to do, and there you go. And my recognition value was very, very bad, and that's nicely said. So even if you are an introvert, you need to work on things, how to stand out. Then we have the offline category. Here we have public relations, your social network, your awards, your books, your knowledge, and your pro bono work. We all know that your network is your net worth. And we also know that the person that we will be in 5 years heavily depends on the people that we spend time with today and on the books that we read today. So have a look at your social network. The people that you currently spend time with, do you help them and do they help you? If not, it might be time to go out there and to work on your social network. A little bit of pro bono work is always a good thing. Well, and if you have done an outstanding job over the last years, then your public relations will help you getting your personal brand to the next level. Well then, we have the online category. And here we have things like your podcast, your blog, your content, your videos, your social media channels. And if you say, just by looking like that, or just by seeing it, forget it, totally fine. There are so many outstanding freelancers and content creators out there. Simply delegate that work to them. Or if you say, well, actually, I would like to learn that. There are so many online courses or books about this topic. Simply sit down and learn how to write, how to do videos. And if you would like to work with a coach, somebody who takes you by the hand and guides you for everything that I just said, I know a very good one. So basically, ask me and I give you a recommendation. Now, I shared a lot of information with you, and I know how it feels sitting in the audience, so I thought, let's get a little bit into action. So based on everything that I just said, what is one thing that you can start working on starting from tomorrow? I know that tomorrow is a mystical place where things never happen. But today is unrealistic, because we know we have an after party, we listen to so many speeches, so today nothing's going to happen. So I would kindly ask you now, everybody, take out your phones right now, and please set a reminder for tomorrow, 11 a.m. What is one thing that you're going to work on starting from tomorrow that could get your personal brand to the next level? I don't see any mobile phones. Mobile phones out, please. I'm German, I want you. There you go. And to make it more efficient, I give you 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ah, there you go. People are working. Ah, that's good. Oh, I like this power here. Okay, good. So the next thing is, what is personal branding not? So based on everything that I just said, I hope that it makes sense that personal branding cannot be fake, because it's based on who you truly are and what you do, and it is what is important to you and precious to you. People who say that personal branding is fake, they do not understand the depth and the wholeness of the whole concept. Personal branding is also not something for the rich and the famous. It's actually the other way around. If you want to become more successful, if you want to earn more money, then personal branding is a concept that can help you getting there faster. And personal branding is also not something for extroverts. It's not about bragging. A great personal branding coach will never ask you to enter a room and say, I'm there, you waited for me. That doesn't make sense. Personal branding asks you who you are, what you're good at, how you can help other people, and then it's all about going out there and then making things happen. Okay. In the end, personal branding is an essential prerequisite to design an independent, great lifestyle and a career of purpose. Feel free to share that on social media. Just saying, this is how you get great content on LinkedIn. So, now we had a look at what is personal branding, how does it function. I would like to share a few benefits with you. Who of you thinks that investing all of the money and the time and effort into personal branding is worth it? And who of you is still not 100% convinced? Okay, so this part is especially for you. Enjoy. The first benefit is more business opportunities. The way how society functions nowadays is pretty complex. So what we do is we put people into boxes, right? Especially when you have made a great first impression, people will put you into the right box. Great speaker, outstanding sales guy, very good engineer. And what happens then is that when they need you the next time, when they need your services then for the next time, they know which drawer they need to open to then talk to you. Which directly brings me to benefit number 2, being found instead of looking for projects. What I did 4 years ago when I started my brand is I went to a lot of networking events, I did a lot of cold calls, I sent out a lot of emails to people that I never knew, and the problem is that in the Middle East, nobody reads emails. So my success rate was very, very little. And nowadays, I changed the whole game. By being active on LinkedIn, my clients actually approach me, and that puts you in such a better negotiation position than actually approaching people. Another benefit is the ability to work with outstanding clients and colleagues. Think about the first job that you ever had. Wasn't it that way that you had to work with people that maybe weren't that nice? Or maybe you had to work on tasks that were boring? But over the years, you proved to others that you are great, that you are an expert in something. And with the time, you were allowed to say no to certain things. You got the luxury of choosing what you actually want to do. And personal branding can help you getting there. And the interesting thing also is that personal branding can also help you earning more. How much money do you actually pay for an average coffee down the road? Let's say €1.50, €2. How much money do you pay for the same coffee with a paper mug which has a green siren or a green mermaid on it and your name misspelled on it? 2 times the price, 3 times the price? So what works for coffee also works for you. Studies come to the end result that people with a great personal brand earn between 10 to 25% more than somebody with an average brand. Think about it. We're working until we're 60, 65. That's a lot of money. Okay. Then we also have an increased self-awareness. So personal branding asks you who you are, what you do, what you're great at, but it continually also gives you a reality check. Are you still in line? Is this what you want to do? If not, how can you correct it? And because of that, you do not only become a more successful personal brand, you also become a more balanced and a better human being. So I recently stumbled over a great TED talk of a woman who focused on the topic personal branding, and she found this metaphor. I love this metaphor that talked about the first step of self-reflection that I would like to share with you.
You see, we're all just a little bit like Mr. Potato Head. Really. I mean, who knew that Mr. Potato Head has all this stuff inside it? And the same is true with you. You have all this stuff inside you. Mr. Potato Head is a very multifaceted, multi-talented guy. On any given day, he can pull any of that stuff out from inside him and define who he is to the world. And so can you. But see, nobody knows what's inside you except you. So the first thing you have to do, step 1, is you have to decide who do you want to be defined as. And then look inside your potato head and figure out what do I need to bring out to prove to people that's who I am. That's what I can do. Now, you can't fake this because you can't bring things out of your potato head that weren't there to begin with. But that's how it works in terms of self-awareness.
Brilliant, isn't it? We are all a little bit like Mr. Potato Head. I'm sure that this is a metaphor that you will never ever forget. Another benefit, very interesting, and increased self-awareness. So when you know who you are, what you want, when you earn more, when you work with the people that you really appreciate, you will feel in a different way, you will walk in a different way, and you will talk in a different way. So an increased self-confidence is a nice byproduct or side product of personal branding. Also very interesting, access to highly exclusive networks. When you work on yourself, you also attract people into your life who work on themselves. And because of that, you get access to business opportunities that you weren't even dreaming of. So that is also something worth considering. And the last very awkward benefit is being treated in a better way. So when I look at how people treated and reacted to me 4 years ago, when I compare that with today, there's really a big difference. One funny story, whenever I go out in Dubai, I sometimes meet my clients or my friends in public cafes for lunch, right? And there's regularly the situation when a stranger approaches me and says, "Hey, sorry for interrupting, but aren't you Dr. Natalia?" And I'll be like, yeah, I mean, how can I be of help? And then the person's like, I follow you on LinkedIn, and thank you so much for creating great content. Your last video actually finally kicked me in the butt. I did my first video. I was like, oh, that's so cool. And then that person usually says, can I take a selfie with you? And then we take a selfie. Although I'm not a big fan of selfies, I would love to do a short video with you because I heard that you are not really sure if the content that you create is good or not so. What is always very good when you are having talks to have social proof, because everybody wants to see it, right? So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to hold the camera like that. I'm going to count until 3. So 1, 2, 3. And then I want you all to say SAP now and show me some enthusiasm. So you can do some woo or some or whatever you want to do. Okay? Yeah? Good. So let's do that. Let's try the right angle. That's horrible, the lights. Oh, I think it's okay. So let's try this. 1, 2, 3.
SAP now.
Yeah, that was okay. Maybe you take a second take? No, we continue. It's okay. Thank you. That was good. So you're going to see that tomorrow on LinkedIn. And if we are connected, I'm going to tag you. This is how you get more publicity. Usually people pay me for that. Just saying. Okay, the benefits for companies. The magic word here is employee advocacy programs. So as you already learned or know from the term, in these programs, you take your employees as the extension of your social media channels. Why your employees should support you? I mean, all of the benefits that I just shared are the benefits of your employees. But what is in it for you? That is the more interesting question. The first thing is increased exposure. When it's not only you who talks about your company, your services, your mission, etc., when it's also your employees, you can reach so many more people. And through that, you can increase your brand recognition. When I did my research for this speech, I learned about a lot of problems that big businesses have, and if I had to categorize them, there were 3 big problems. Problem number 1, people cannot, or businesses cannot attract the right talent into their company. Problem number 2, they interviewed some random people on the streets, and they weren't aware of the company at all. Like, who are you? What do you do? I don't know. Or the third problem is that those interviewed people, they only knew a small percentage of the whole portfolio of the company. So through an employee advocacy program, you can change that public perception and increase your brand recognition. Also very important, your staff, your employees will connect deeper with you. I think that's especially important for people working HR, because in the end, if you can show your employees that you care, that you invest in them, when you celebrate their successes with them on social media, they will go the extra mile. They will talk about you. They will be proud working of you, and they will be also less sick. And isn't that something that every great company is dreaming about? Another great thing that benefits from it is that you will have outstanding user-generated content. Nowadays, we know that people trust user-generated content more than anything that we see perfectly portrayed and which is amazing out there. People are a little bit tricky. They're like, I don't know, not sure. And people also like to follow people more than companies. So a business which understood that is LinkedIn. So this is what LinkedIn does on Instagram, at LinkedIn Live. Let's have a look at it. We will see that LinkedIn celebrates diversity. In their office in San Diego, they do yoga together. They go run in the mud. They do sports together. You can bring your dog to work. They celebrate Christmas parties. Hey, and if you get a baby, on the top right, that's the starter package. Isn't that cute? Like every millennial, everybody who's Generation Z would love seeing that, and more about that in a second. So everything that I just said can definitely lead to an increased web page traffic and better search engine results. I am not the expert on SEO or on web page optimization. I know the basics for my business. But if you need these arguments for your line managers, here they are. So let's get back to the millennials. You will be able to attract the right talent for you when you show them what they want to see. And we millennials, I'm a millennial, and Generation Z, we are a little bit awkward when it comes to job search. The likeliness that we visit your webpage is not that high. What we will rather do is we will go on your social media channels and we will have a look, who are my potential colleagues? And if I see very old, unhappy people, when I see everything is gray and boring, I'm not going to send my CV because I don't want to work there. I mean, spending 8-9 hours, why should I do that? So with the right personal branding strategy, with an employee advocacy program, you can actually change the perception of your company and your company culture. And of course, everything that I just mentioned will lead to an increased sales and brand loyalty. I know these were a lot of arguments, but I wanted to show you that it's absolutely worth it investing in personal branding. It is not an option nowadays. It is a must. It doesn't matter if you're an individual or a company. So let's go to the third and last step for today, which is the case studies. One comment that you will regularly read below my social media posts is, Natalia, you're so lucky, you're so blessed, you're so talented. I'm sure that implementing your personal brand was so easy for you. And then my answer usually is, yes, it is. You know, I just sit, I meditate, I have scented candles, I drink green tea, and I just channel it. It's divine guidance. Nonsense! Personal branding only works if you put in the work. So when other people partied, I worked on my bachelor thesis. When other people traveled, I worked on my master thesis. When other people settled down, I worked on my PhD thesis. And after that, I worked in the government area. Then I worked in the private economy. Then I realized that I need a break and I need to work on myself because I'm just doing what everybody else does instead of understanding who I am and what I want to do. And after that, I locked myself away and worked on my own business to be a public speaker and an entrepreneur. So if you think right now, well, that woman really doesn't know how to have fun. That woman doesn't know how to live. Let's listen to an advice of Gary Vaynerchuk, who is, I don't know, who of you knows Gary Vaynerchuk? So he is a legend when it comes to marketing. He is somebody that especially a lot of people out of my generation look up to. He is very blunt. So let's have a look what he says about personal branding.
From 22 to 32, my friend, I did nothing in building the Gary Vaynerchuk brand. You know what I did? I did the work that allowed me to have the audacity to build the Gary Vaynerchuk brand. This notion that you can just come out the gate and build your brand by growth hacking and putting yourself out there and getting on some podcasts and leveraging other people's brands to get on and build yourself as an expert in what? Like, when are we gonna start asking all these people that are experts, what did they do? Here's what I did and why I think you should listen to me in business. I am now in the midst of building my second $50 million plus business within a 5-year window. That's good execution at a speed that most people can't calibrate at a high volume. Is it 50 billion? No, but it's a life, right? For a lot of people, it's business. I invested in companies early on and made a lot of money because I saw where the market was going. Hence the video I popped up earlier before that's linked below of what I saw with Apple Pay. I did things that allowed me to start having a shot to be worthy of people buying a $15 book or spending 15 minutes and watching his or her show. So I did things. So my friend, to you and everybody else, I promise you, before you get your name out there, it'd be really nice that you can go to the accomplishments. Because when I ask you, hey bro, awesome that you're a branding or health or personal coach or whatever the hell you are, but what did you do to become good enough to do this? I'd like to know. I love when people argue with me on this issue. They're like, well, look at all the football coaches. These coaches, a lot of times, are not real players. You don't have to be a great football player to be a great football coach. Guys, have you looked at every football coach? There is no football coach that comes out of nowhere at 23 years old and is an NFL coach and wins Super Bowls. They've been a ball boy since they were 7 and worked within the organization for 20 years, 15 years. Eric Mangini, when he was a Jets coach at 36, had been a ball boy since he was 18. Like they're in it forever. They're kids, they're sons and daughters of coaches. They've been in it their whole lives. That's how you get there. And so this quick move of using good modern technology to build up your brand, siphoning and doing JVs with other people to siphon their brand equity that you're passing on, that I'm an expert, and then coming out the gate and saying, I'm an expert building brand. It's ludicrous. I laugh at it in my soul, in my stomach, and so does everybody who's got chops. I'm gonna say it one more time. I laugh at it, and so does everybody that's got chops. And I need you to pay attention to that. You have to earn your opportunity to be a personal brand. And the only way to do that is to actually execute.
He is intense, isn't he? So whenever you need a little bit of a push, this gentleman might be a good solution. So after I put in all of the work, I actually sat down, created a plan, and I don't want to bother you with details, but the 3 things that were very key in what I did are the following. I figured out what my unique voice is. Of course, I listened to various role models, and I read books, and I joined online courses, but I understood that I do not want to be the next so-and-so and a copy of so-and-so. I got inspired by these people, I learned from them, but then I needed to experiment and fail myself up into having my unique voice as a speaker, as a strategist, as an expert. In the beginning, it was painful, it was messy, but it was really, really worth it. And also, very important, I stopped consuming content and I started blogging, I started writing. I think we all, if we want to be seen as leaders, we cannot just take an article and repost it on LinkedIn. We need to stop being content consumers, we need to start turning into content creators. And yes, of course, your first articles will be bad, and your first video will be horrible, but this is how you learn. And you can always train that at home first, train it with friends, and then eventually get it out there. And I also started working on myself, because I understood that you vibrate on a certain level, and you attract the people in your life who are on similar journeys. So I worked with coaches, I worked with mentors, I worked with healers, I did a lot of crazy things that I'm not allowed to talk about. But in the end, I figured out the more I eliminate my insecurities and my wrong beliefs, the more I actually open my opportunities in my private and in my business life to people who are great, who create outstanding content as well. So the lady in the picture is Michaela Alexis, a Canadian LinkedIn unicorn with over 130,000 LinkedIn followers. Okay, last step, the case study about a corporate company. So one of the companies that I recently worked with, they had a problem. They did a case study, they interviewed a few people, and they came to the realization that the majority of people that they interviewed, they only were aware of a tiny percentage of their massive portfolio. Oops. So what do? Well, of course, you can always take a lot of money and invest it into mass advertising. You can create campaigns everywhere. But first of all, that's very costly, right? So you need to have the cash. And secondly, people do not believe advertising as much as we did maybe in the 60s or 70s. Luckily, the marketing director knew about the power of employee advocacy programs. So what did they do? They hired an external marketing or personal branding strategist. And that person then went there and created an individualized course, video trainings for all of their employees. While the company on the other side trained their staff on how do I use LinkedIn, how do I use Twitter, how do I use Facebook, what should I do on social media, what shouldn't I do? And in the next step, they also created an outstanding content creation platform with videos, articles, pictures, everything that they could then share and reconnect and get other people to speak about their brand. And in the end, both parties liked it, both saw a positive benefit in their personal brands, in their general reputation. So, if there is one thing that I would like you to go home with, I know I talk a lot, then there is this thought. You cannot not have a personal brand. You have one. And it's up to you if you turn it into an average or a good one. So, choose wisely. Thank you.
Natalia, you convinced me.
Yes.
And I know I'm not the only person in this room to be convinced. Now, I have a LinkedIn account, okay? And on this LinkedIn account, I have about 1,000 people that I'm connected with.
That's great.
Yeah, that's all great. But today I spent a day on this great event. What should I do when I come home and log in next time to use it to leverage my investment into time here and my network that I have on LinkedIn? Just a quick tip.
Sure. So what I usually do is I have a template for a contact message. Actually, I have 3. So you go into this template and make sure that it's a private beginning. So, dear Peter, it was great meeting you at yesterday's conference. I would love to stay connected. And then your name, right? So you send out all of these connection requests.
Okay.
And once those people accept your connection request, you already have another template, which is the follow-up template. And in that template, you again say, hey, Peter, thank you so much for connecting. By the way, if you ever have any challenges with please get back to me, or whenever you are in this and this area, let's meet for a coffee. So you're not salesy, you're not annoying, you're friendly, so this is how you leveraged everything that you have learned here and you connect with people.
Okay, now that you mentioned copying and pasting, I'm a little bit more relieved because that means I don't spend so much time. Let's go to another extreme.
Yeah.
I know Twitter is out there.
Yep.
Sometimes I look what other people post, but I have nothing there. How do I start?
You need to ask yourself if Twitter actually makes sense for you. Because a lot of people think they need to be everywhere on social media. I think that's nonsense. You need to ask yourself, what is my purpose of spending time on social media? That's the first thing. Second of all, where do I find my target audience? Like, why am I there? And if you realize that the people that you want to get in contact with aren't on Twitter, why would you waste your time on Twitter?
So even if I don't do anything, you won't be mad at me, right? Nope. Okay, thanks a lot. Another round of applause for Natalia. Thank you.